Hey guys, happy Friday. I'm going to jump right into today's lesson. We're going to review chapter 14 quiz and then read chapter 15 before we prepare for the comprehension activity. Um, the girls are playing in their playroom, so we'll see if we can get through this uninterrupted, but you know that is not very likely these days. So here we go. So we're going to first go over the chapter 14 quiz. Okay, this is from Thursday. You know that it's scanned so that you can go and compare your quiz to mine. I also have the page numbers listed where these answers are found. Okay, so chapter 14, question 1. Kira dropped the gift she made for Thomas. Remember, she made him a tapestry for his wedding. Thomas is getting married. But she dropped it C in the mud, and that is page 132. So 1 is C. She dropped the gift in the mud. Question 2. Kira's gift, like what her special talent is to A, make things. So 2 is A. She can make things with her hands. That answer is found on page 133. Question number 3. Kira does not want to be healed because she already feels whole. Answer to 3 is B. Maddie offers to use his gift to fix her leg to make the trip back to village a lot easier for her to be able to walk comfortably. But she's like, I don't want to be healed. This is who I am, and I'm cool with it. So 3 is B. Question 4. On Kira's embroidery frame, she had stitched D, forest and village. So 4 is D. You could see the forest that they're going to travel through and the village where they hope to return. And the answer for number 4 was found on page 137. 4 is D. Question 5. Part of Kira's gift to embroider is she can embroider the future. B. 5 is B. That's her gift, is that as she stitches, sometimes it's almost out of her control. She just finds herself going through the motions, but she can see the future through her embroidery. So 5 is B, and that answer is found on page 140. Question 6. Maddie sees them building B, a wall around the village. So he looks at what Kira has embroidered, and as she predicts the future through this stitching, he sees that they're going to build a wall around village. Okay, so 6 is B, and that's also on page 140. Question 7. Kira says that they will leave A in the morning. Remember, she's agreed to go with Maddie back to village, but she says we have to leave in the morning. So 7 is A, and that is found on page 140. And then finally, question 8. Kira had not seen Leader, but had B, felt him. So Maddie was asking her, have you ever seen Leader, who we know is from The Giver? He's the main character from The Giver, and Kira's the main character from Gathering Blue, and now finally in Messenger, the two of them I think they're going to meet, so we'll find out maybe in this next chapter. But 8, she had not seen Leader, but she had B, felt him. 8 is B, and that answer is on page 141. Okay, so today we're going to do chapter 15. It's about 7 pages, so it shouldn't take us too long to get through. Let me get back to the beginning, and I will read it aloud to you. You follow along, and then we'll do the questions. Okay? All right. So this is Maddie and Kira, and they're getting ready to leave to go back to village. They woke early. The sun was just rising, and through the window, Maddie could see that the gardens were bathed in amber light. Thick around the tall trellis, a vine that had been simply green when he arrived the day before was now profuse with the opened blue and white morning glories. Beyond the trellis, on tall stalks, tiny aster blossoms, deep pink with golden centers, trembled on the dawn breeze. He felt her presence suddenly and turned to see Kira standing behind him, looking out. It will be hard for you to leave this, he said. But she smiled and shook her head. It's time. I always knew this time would come. I told my father that long ago. He says you'll have a garden there. He wanted me to tell you that. She nodded. Eat quickly, Maddie, and we will go. I've fed Frolic already. Do you need help? Maddie asked, his mouth full of sweet muffin that she had given him as he watched her arrange a wrapped bundle on her back, crisscrossing the straps that held it around her chest. What's in it? No, I can do just fine. It's my frame and some needles and thread. Kira, the journey's long and hard. There won't be time to sit and sew. Then Maddie fell quiet. Of course she needed this. It was the way her gift came. She had put food inside Maddie's pack as well as in his rolled blanket. It was heavier than it had been coming, for there were 2 of them now, but Maddie felt strong. He was almost relieved that she had not allowed him to mend her leg, for it would have weakened him badly, cost them perhaps several days if he rested from it, and sent them out less prepared and more vulnerable. He could see, too, that she was accustomed to her stick and twisted leg. A lifetime of walking in that way had made it, as she had pointed out, part of her. It was who she was. To become a fast-striding Kira with 2 straight legs would have been to become a different person, and this was not a journey Maddie could undertake with a stranger. Frolic, if you were a little bigger and less frisky, I would strap a pack to your back, Kira said, laughing to the eager puppy who stood beside the door with his tail churning in the air. He could tell they were leaving, and he was not going to be left behind. Soon they were loaded with everything they had packed so carefully the night before. We're ready then, Kira announced, and Maddie nodded in agreement. From the open doorway, with Frolic already outside sniffing the earth, they looked back to the large room that had been Kira's home since she had been a young girl. She was leaving the loom, the baskets of yarn and the thread, the dried herbs on the rafters, the wall hangings, and the earthen mugs and plates made for her by the village potter, and a handsome wooden tray that had been a gift long ago from her friend Thomas, who had carved it with intertwined, complicated designs. From hooks along the wall hung her clothes, things she had made, some of them skirts and jackets rich with embroidered and appliqued designs. Today she was wearing her simple blue dress and a heavy knitted sweater with buttons made from small, flat stones. She closed the door on all of it. Come, Frolic, Maddie called unnecessarily. The dog scampered to them and raised his leg one last time against the door sill, saying, in his way, I've been here. So he's peeing on the door. Then Maddie moved towards the place where the path entered forest. Kira, leaning on her stick, followed him, and Frolic, ears up, came behind. You know, Kira said, I've walked past the forest path between this cottage and the center of my village so many times. Then she laughed. Well, of course you know that, Maddie. You did it with me when you were a little boy. I did, again and again. But I have never once entered forest. There was no need, of course, and it always seemed frightening somehow. They had barely entered, and behind them the light of the clearing still showed in a corner of Kira's little house. But ahead, Maddie could see the path was oddly dark. He didn't remember it being so dark. Are you frightened now? He asked her. Oh, no, not with you. You know the forest so well. That's true, I do. It was true, but even as he said it, Maddie felt a sense of discomfort, though he hid it from Kira. The path ahead did not seem to be as familiar as it always had been. He could tell it was the same path. The turnings were the same as he led her around the next one. The clearing behind them was no longer visible, but things that had seemed easy and accustomed no longer did. Now everything felt a little different, slightly darker, and decidedly hostile. Now remember, in the previous chapters, we talked about hostile being like he just doesn't feel comfortable there anymore, like he's not welcome, and he's probably getting a little bit nervous, especially guiding Kira through, and they have to get back quick. So let's see. He said nothing. He led the way, and Kira, strong despite her handicap, trudged after him. They have entered. Leader turned from the window. He stood there for a long moment, intent, focused, while beside him the blind man waited. They had been doing this for several hours. Okay, so now we're talking from Leader and Seer's perspective in village, because you know that Leader can communicate like with his special powers. So he is kind of telling Seer what's going on this whole time that the 2 of them are traveling. So he channeled Kira and Maddie and could sense that they had just entered forest. So he's kind of giving Seer the play-by-play now of what they're doing. Leader sat to rest. He breathed hard. He was accustomed to this, the way his body temporarily lost its vigor and needed to restore itself after he had looked beyond. The blind man gave a sigh that was clearly one of relief. So she came with him. So Seer's like, okay, good. She's coming with Maddie. Leader nodded, still not ready to talk. I worried that she wouldn't. It meant leaving so much behind, but Maddie convinced her. Good for him. Leader stretched and sipped from the glass of water on his desk. Then he was able to speak. She didn't need convincing. She could tell that it was time. She has that gift. The blind man went to the window and stood there listening. Heavy dragging sounds and thuds were accompanied by shouts. Over here! Put it down there! Watch out! They could hear Mentor's voice loud above the others. Stack them right here, he directed. 5 to a stack. You, idiot, stop that. If you aren't going to help, go someplace else. Sounds like they might be starting that project that Maddie saw through Kira's embroidery. Remember the wall that they're building? Sounds like they're doing a lot of work around village. Leader winced. It was such a short time ago that he was so patient and so soft-spoken, and listen to him now. Tell me how he looks, the blind man said. Leader went to the window and looked down at the place where they were preparing to build the wall. He found Mentor in the crowd. His bald spot is completely gone, he said. He's taller, or at least he stands straighter. He's lost weight, and his chin is firmer than it was. A strange trade for him to have made, the blind man commented. Leader shrugged. For a woman, he pointed out, people do strange things. I suppose it's too soon for you to look beyond again. The blind man was still at the window. His posture was uneasy. He's worried about this trip. Leader smiled. You know it is. They've only just entered. They're fine. How much time do they have? 10 days. The wall can't go up for 10 days according to the edict. It's enough time. Maddie's like a son to me. It's as if both my children are out there. I know. Leader put a reassuring arm across the blind man's shoulders. Come back here tomorrow morning and we'll look again. I'll go work in my garden. I'm preparing flower beds for Kira. Good idea. It'll take your mind from the worry. But when Seer had gone, Leader stood at the window for a while, listening to the wall builders at their preparations. He was very worried himself. He had not told the blind man, but while he had watched Maddie, Kira, and the puppy enter the forest, he had been able to see, too, that forest was shifting, moving, thickening, and preparing to destroy them. Okay, I might have to go ahead and record 16 after this so I can find out what happens. So, Leader can already see that something is probably not going to go well for this trip, but he's trying to be optimistic and not let Seer know that he's a little bit worried. Okay, so here are let me get a pen. All right, I'm going to read aloud the questions for 15, and I'm going to go ahead and mark some of these so that they're ready to go for tomorrow. All right, so today is 1. How are we already in May? All right. Maddie tells Kira her father planned a blank for her. So what is Seer planning for Kira's arrival? Is it A, a party, B, a bedroom, C, a garden, or D, a job? What is Seer getting ready for Kira for when she gets to village? Question 2. Kira packed her blank in her bag. A, food and extra clothes. A, food and extra clothes. B, frame, needles, and thread. C, boots and cake. And then D, tapestry and a medical kit. Question number 3. Kira had never entered forest before because it was A, too far away, B, dark, C, frightening, or D, tangled. Question number 4. Kira felt blank going into the forest with Maddie. How did she feel going into the forest with Maddie? She said that at one time she felt this way, but when she's with Maddie, how does she feel? A, angry, B, safe, C, happy, or D, silly. Question number 5. Blank and blank used the gift to see Maddie and Kira enter the forest. Okay, so we're looking at 2 people that are like checking on Kira and Maddie as they're taking this journey. So is it A, leader and seer, B, leader and mentor, C, seer and Jean, or D, frolic and leader? Question number 6. Blank was the leader of the group building the wall. Okay, so we know that there's all these orders being shouted outside around village to have this wall built and to have it built fast because they're starting to close their borders. So is it A, stock tender, B, leader, C, trade master, or D, mentor? Who is bossing everyone around to build this wall? Question number 7. There are blank more days left until the wall can go up. How many more days until the wall can go up? A, 5, B, 10, C, 6, or D, 20? All right, and then finally question number 8. Seer will return blank so they can look beyond again. So Seer's been at leader's house trying to, they're just kind of working together to use their power to watch Kira and Maddie go through this forest to make sure that they're safe. But we all know that that takes a lot of energy out of leader, and so he can't just watch them all day, So leader tells Seer, he says, hey, go home and come back when, so that they can check on him again. So does he tell him to come back A, Tuesday, B, Sunday, C, in a week, or D, the next day? Okay, so just choose your best answers there. I can hear Katie and Amy fighting over some toy now, so I guess I can't jump into 16 yet, but I will have it ready for you Monday. So I hope that you guys have a good weekend. I love you all. We got 1 week left, and we're going to finish this book before your last official day of digital learning, which is May the 8th. May the 8th. Okay, so that is next Friday, 1 week from today. We got this. I love you. Talk soon.